Coming up next, from San Fran Freak Show, The Savage Nation, from Talk 910 KNEW.
No one else can say it that clear and that precise. Hey, impact.
The Savage Nation, weekday afternoons 3 to 7, Talk 910 KNEW. Warning. The Michael Savage Show contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation. Here is Michael Savage.
Here's what we've been talking about today in the Savage Nation. President Obama attacks the Cambridge, Massachusetts police. Remember, it was bad enough when President Bush undermined the U.S. Marines in Iraq, destroyed their careers and their lives. Now Obama is attacking the thin blue line, America's policemen. Why? Because they arrested a friend of Obama's, Henry Louis Gates, Jr., a Harvard professor of African American Studies. He had the audacity to call what the Cambridge police did stupid, even though he was not there and they were just doing their job. Further, if you read the police report, you're going to find out that the racist here is not the cop. First of all, it's completely inappropriate for the president of the U.S. to single out a police officer in a case he knows nothing about. But secondly, to exploit the topic of race is the wrong thing for Obama to do. The fact of the matter is, he should have stayed out of this. I'm going to read for you again the police report that shows step by step exactly what these policemen did and proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that they did the right thing. In fact, the cop who arrested him, the officer arrested him, Sergeant James Crowley, happens to teach classes on how not to do racial profiling. This is a disaster for Henry Louis Gates, Jr., who screamed racism once too often. The Savage Bombshell. Very soon you will know what was in the mind of the British government when it decided to ban Michael Savage from entering the United Kingdom. I have been asked not to discuss the specifics. However, for the next few days, you will see the ignorance, you will witness the blatant stupidity, and possibly the racism that was part of this decision. On Saturday night in this country and Sunday morning in England, a major British newspaper will publish all the details contained in the Freedom of Information Act report. Be on the lookout. What I'm going to reveal, what the newspapers in England are going to reveal, will turn the Labour government on its head. This information is a game changer. The tide of the media will turn. The tide of power in Britain will turn. So keep listening, because the bombshell that is going to be unleashed in the next few days about my case will have a drastic effect on the Labour government of Gordon Brown. This could be a final nail in the coffin of socialist power in Great Britain. It could be the final victory for freedom of speech over the oppression of would-be dictators that will restore Michael Savage's reputation and his rights. The corruption of religion. There's been a huge corruption sting in New Jersey involving money laundering, the selling of human organs. What is most frightening of all is the fact that several of those arrested in the case have been Orthodox Jewish rabbis. Those entrusted with carrying the word of God have instead engaged in the most base form of corruption. The rabbis arrested included the Grand Rabbi of the Syrian Jewish community in the U.S., Individuals have been accused of enticing people to give up a kidney for $10,000 and then turning around selling it for $160,000. Quite a markup, huh? Buy low, sell high. Buy near, sell dear. We've talked about the death of Walter Cronkite, although the mainstream media portrays him as the most trusted man in America. His coverage of the Vietnam War, as well as some of the groups he associated with, brings that trust into very serious question. Joining us now from Accuracy in Media to tell us more about the real Walter Krankenhaus is Cliff Kincaid. Cliff, what do you make of all this Cronkite adulation?
Michael, at Accuracy in Media, we've been fascinated by the coverage of the death of longtime CBS News anchorman Walter Cronkite. It's a tragedy, but he lived a long life. We all have sympathy, and our condolences go out to his family. But the kind of coverage that this has engendered has been, well, it looks like Cronkite's getting better coverage than Barack Obama. And I realize Obama's coverage has been phenomenal, but Cronkite has been described as a legend, as America's anchor man, as, of course, the most trusted man in America when he hosted the evening news program. And on Sunday, on the Fox News Sunday program, Mara Liasson of NPR referred to Cronkite as being the voice of God.
What do you mean?
Well, this is going way too far, in our opinion. And, you know, AIM is celebrating its 40th anniversary this year. Accuracy in Media is the oldest media watchdog group in the country. And our founder and longtime AIM report editor, Reed Irvine, had a number of battles over the years with Walter Cronkite and his successor, by the way, Dan Rather. But in particular with Cronkite, because rather than just being, as he's being portrayed today, an objective newsman, he was the epitome. He symbolized liberal media bias, and he used that bias to the detriment of our nation. Some of the things that are being said about him, look, I don't take issue with his cheerleading for the space program or the fact that he covered the death of President Kennedy with emotion. He captured some of these moments and made them real in the lives of people. He did reach millions and millions of people in the role as anchorman of the CBS Evening News. But that kind of influence and power and authority wasn't all used for the good. And in fact, one of the big battles that Accuracy in Media had with Cronkite over the years was the fact that under his directorship of the CBS Evening News and his role in CBS News in general, this news organization had a pronounced bias against national defense, against national security, and many of the weapon systems that have kept us safe and secure over the years. And we, in particular, looked at this during the Reagan years, when, of course, Ronald Reagan took power after the disastrous years of Jimmy Carter, and Reagan's election mandate was, of course, to rebuild America's defenses. But it was Cronkite and the CBS News team, including Dan Rather, and then Bill Moyers, now with TBS, Public Television, who went after Reagan, attacking him with a vengeance for daring to want to increase spending on national defense. So what I've done in my column, called The Terrible Truth About Walter Cronkite, up at aim.org, was to go over Cronkite's actual record. It's amazing to us that so many media outlets are highlighting that, he finally became outspoken. He revealed his bias during his coverage of the Vietnam War, as if that was a good thing on his part, when it can be argued with evidence that when Cronkite turned against the war by falsely reporting the Tet Offensive in 1968 as an American loss rather than what it was, a loss for the communist enemy, that indeed he turned the tide against the war, creating the conditions for a premature American withdrawal and the loss in vain of 58,000 American lives, and not to mention the millions who died at the hands of the communists after that in Cambodia as well as Vietnam. So this was supposed to be a highlight, something worthwhile in Walter Cronkite's career when he got a major story wrong